Hi, folks. It's Chris Daly, and it's always great having wonderful Jamaicans doing great things and being conversation to them, and we have a doozy for you today. We'll be speaking to Mr. Malachi Smith. He's a fellow at the University of Miami Missionary Caribbean Writers Institute, where he studies poetry under Lorna Goodinson and playwriting under Fred DeAguilar. He's an alumnus of the Florida International University, Miami-Dade College, Jamaica School of Drama, and Miami-Dade County Public Safety Institute. Smith is also a founding member of the Poets of Unity. My partner, Janice, will be conducting the interview. Take it away, Janice.
Why, thank you, Chris. Malachi.
How are you?
I'm doing great because I'm talking to you, and we're going to have a really good conversation. So, tell us a little bit about your Jamaican roots.
Well, I was born in Westmoreland and to the year 1956. Left down there pretty early, and then I went on to Milk River and Clarendon, where I spent some time with Dad, then St. Elizabeth, and finally ended up growing up in St. Catherine, a little district named Central Village. I have some notoriety to it. So that's where I grew up when school went to White Marl School, and then I went to Kingston Tech for a brief while, St. George's College, and then I went to the Police Academy. So that's basically my roots from the Jamaica perspective.
So you're a St. George's guy. Ah!
Yes, I went to the extension, yes, before joining the Jamaican Air Force. Yes.
So when did you discover your extraordinary gift?
I discovered it very young. There are a number of things. I discovered my grandmother's yard had a church in there, and whenever they did the concerts, I was always a star reciter. So I had a knack for rhymes, and they somewhat flowed naturally. And then when I was at White Marl, I was pretty young too. They decided, I think I was like 9 at the time, the school was going to publish a magazine, the White Marl Beacon, and they asked students to submit poems or stories. And I wrote 3 little poems, and they were the only 3 poems that got published in it. So it somewhat grew out of that. Then I had this teacher named Mr. Finley. Whenever we had, back in those days, every Thursday we had garden days. So in the afternoon, the boys would actually go in the school garden and we'd be working away. But I would always work. I'm a hard worker, so I'd be working when the other guys were gossiping, and I'd be saying these little poems and going on. So Mr. Finley said, you have a knack with this thing. You know about Claude McKay. Of course I knew about, a little about Claude McKay, the thing, Spanish Needle and thing. So he gave me one of Claude McKay's book, and he always encouraged me. And then the teacher would say, whenever I wrote my composition, it was an essay then, they would say, there was always something there that made one laugh. Your writing has so much life to it. So out of all of that, I somewhat discovered my talent,
I see. It's interesting that you mentioned Claude McKay, because I am currently reading his book, actually.
Awesome.
The best. And that's just interesting. Okay, so I'm assuming that gentleman that you just mentioned was the person that influenced and nurtured your gift.
Well, he had some influence. I should say that in addition to loving the Claude McKays, I would want to say that Kamau Brathwaite. There used to be a program on JBC AM radio, Groundings, that Elaine Wint used to host once per day, and they'd feature a poet for the week. And whenever Kamau was on, you just had to listen. He had this voice, this tone, this rhythm to his speech. It just grabbed you and held you. And I said, man, I want to be like this man. So I always, followed Kamau and I'll do some of his poems. And then I met Mervyn Morris, the great Mervyn Morris, because I ended up starting poetry. Well, I went to the Jamaica School of Drama and Edna Manley, and while there, we started this poetry group, Poets in Unity. And one day after we did a performance, Professor Mervyn Morris called me over and said, I want you to come by my office of the University of West Indies Mona campus. Mm-hmm. When I went, he said, you're the only person I see in the group that has the potential to really develop into a fine writer. And, he started teaching me some stuff, kind of took me under his wing. So, so he has a lot to do with it, too. And, of course, Miss Lou, her writing was always there. It was a constant, It was written in our tongue, the way we speak. So all of that.
Yeah. I'm so impressed with... I'm so impressed with all the people that you're a generation ahead of me, and all those people that you just mentioned, I've either read their books or I'm influenced by their books, and you've actually had hands-on experience. That's pretty awesome. Did your model? I didn't know that about you.
Yes, when Miss Lou moved to South Florida, where she had a home in Canada and one in South Florida, so she would spend the winters in South Florida. I used to go and visit her, and I would tell the story of how one day I went and she said, Malachi, I feel like eating a curry goat. So I said, sure. So I went and I bought her this huge curry goat. So when I got back, she had made soup, and she said, Malachi, you want to drink some of my soup? And I said, you couldn't be asking me that, Miss Lou. And I drank the soup, and it was one of the nicest soup I'd ever tasted. It was soup, and it somewhat tasted like a soup that my stepmother's mother made once. And it was years after, I was always trying to process it. I realized that she was passing on something to me through the soup. Because I was always told that my strongest poems are when I write with my dialect tongue, and I didn't realize it until years later, And Mervyn Morris, was one of the people that toasted at my wedding, yes.
Really? Mm-hmm. Wow. Man, you're in good company, So how did you mentally and spiritually prepare yourself to be in the zone? Because
it's a very interesting question. I remembered, like saying in the early days in Jamaica, you take the bus and the ride's very long, and somewhere you could find a little zone.
Or the minibus driver.
It was before the minibus time, the big buses. So you get a big seat and you'd sit there before everything got so crowded. And I did a lot of writing then. I also had this fixation with like the beautiful eyes. I would say go to a party and I'd see a female with beautiful eyes, and I'd be just like start burning, start blazing, and I'd go home and I'd write a wicked piece of poem that has nothing to do with eyes or love or anything like that.
But that was the incentive. That was the catalyst to get you.
Right. That would trigger it. And of course, as you go along, other things would come into the mix. Like I still remember one night as a young cop, they firebombed this building in Jamaica and shot the watchman, and he was apparently leaning against a glass window, and apparently they used a shotgun, so his brain was like splattered and the place was burned. You can never forget images like that. You have to someone write it and share it. So stuff like that does it too. In addition to contemporary stuff, to traveling, meeting new people, the new experiences. So the writer is alive. So different things triggers things in me. Maybe a piece of music too, So I'm that type of person.
And that's why you have, for our audience, not only in addition to his excellent work, he has put words to music. I guess dub music.
Yes.
So what determines your topic choices?
Oh, okay. It depends. For argument's sake, if a producer were to say, give me some tracks and say, I'd like us to work on a project, and I would listen to the tracks and they would pull me in a certain way. That's one of the weaknesses with stuff like that, though, because the track somewhat leads you, So I'll do that musically. I should also say that I was one of the DJs, Jamaican DJs, because my first recording was actually DJing. So I'm very good at DJing. A lot of people don't know that.
As a Jamaican, we have to have so many gigs. I don't know if you've ever seen that show in Living Color, and it was about this Jamaican family, and they all had little different gigs. So I think that comes a part of our culture. So, you're a cop, you're a poet, you're a DJ. That's us. We have to do the little hustling anywhere we can.
Yeah, because, I would go, I remember I as a young couple in Montego Bay, I'd go in a dance, and I'd take up the mic and, and start DJing them, say, they're really police in bad. So I had it in me, and it makes me kind of unique when I'm doing my performance poetry, because I have so much music in me, as against my other contemporary poets. It's kind of natural for me. It doesn't have to be neat. I can flow, I can chop. I'm a unique talent, and I give thanks for it.
Yeah. As mentioned, you are and maybe still are. I know you were in Jamaica, and I think you are still in Florida. You're in law enforcement.
I retired. I did it in Jamaica. Well, I was forced into it in Jamaica. At 18, should have gone off to college. My grandmother said, you're going to become a cop. So that was it. I was the child that nobody really wanted to invest into much real thing. So I went in the force there. Quite an experience, learned a lot, made a lot of great friends, enjoyed it enormously, put it that way. I touched a lot of lives, more than anything else, because a lot of Jamaican, is known for police, would say, executioners and stuff like that. I personally saved a lot of lives. I mentored a lot of children, started a whole bunch of police youth clubs, wrote plays for the kids, choreographed dance, took them to all kind of competition, won all kind of medals. And a number of them are doing enormously well now in the private sector in different disciplines and stuff. So I give thanks for that. But that was part of the journey. And then when I came to Florida, had no inkling of getting involved in it again. One of those things apparently it was to follow me. Wanted to go to law school. Heard that University of Miami was hiring police officers. Thought it was a shoo-in, and that's how I got involved in it
again. Yeah, but you're in law enforcement, and you do get a chance to use. Yeah, I mean, you were. I should rephrase it. You were in law enforcement. Did you get a chance to use your works in engaging or redeeming inmates?
I did.
I know you impacted
I can't tell you, this is a story. I arrested this man once, and he did a whole bunch of frauds, with this company. And I just said, instead of, like how people like 1 million counts, I just sum it all up and just charge them for, one count. And, while we're I'm transporting him to the jail, he was like, man, I can't take this. I can't face my wife, my kids. I'm going to kill myself. That's what the guy said. And somehow I just started conversing with him, and I said, I'm not really a practicing Christian per se, but I said, if you have a God or a higher being that you can reach out to, I suggest that you kind of start having a conversation with that person, and the first opportunity you get, you call your wife and your children and let them know that, hey, Dad messed up and I'm asking for forgiveness. So when you get down to the jail, there's a protocol where they ask you, do you want to commit suicide and stuff like that. When they asked him, he said, I was going to do it, but this man is a great man. He taught me out of it, And he said, protect yourself, man. Be careful. You're a nice guy, So, yes, it has given that opportunity. I've gone into institutions and I've read to inmates. I remember one Christmas I did one of the Dade County jails. That was prior. I think that was prior to becoming a police officer. And I've also gone to, there was this lady that ran a great program. It was like second class chance for children before politicians got involved and stuff like that. And I went and read to the kids, spoke to them. And when I go to Jamaica, I always do that, to go to schools and speak to children, try and like share a vision with them of what they can do when they, apply themselves,
That's true. And so, our audience want to hear a little something. So share with us a little something now.
Okay, I am going to do a piece that was triggered by Taurus Riley's She's Royal. And said, how you make our master God, which is a conversation with God. And it says, went down a yard without a plan, just taking a break from a situation, had no conceived intention until a royal rose up to force my hand, her royal highness firm in her Nubian skin, standing in her rosemary bush garden, gleaming, holding the sun in her hair, her glory shining everywhere like an African rainbow caressing a mountain peak. Had to rise to the occasion before I speak. Oh, you make her master God. For this visitation, I am glad. And nothing Megan Vanilla Master God reveal her secrets. I want her bad. I'm going to paint her across the sky, right below Master God eyes, for protection night and day. Keep the predators at bay. Oh, you make her Master God. When you put in her Master God, she had all of Queen Isis' secrets. Athena couldn't match her wits, dazzling me with her magic wand. Wonder should I dip or should I stand? She calculated me before I spoke, said her love was no joke, won't compete with anyone. If you are taken, move along, try to walk away, but my heart wasn't leaving. Put my foot in a gear and my heart starts seizing. Your Highness, I proposed, strip me of my fleshy robes. Did mean your mineral springs wash away my transgressions and sin. Close the door, lock the window. I am committing to you forever. Let me glow like the banks of the Zambezi. Nubian princess, never leave me. Comes what may I do. She said, take my hand. I feel the same way too. I'm going to paint her across the sky right below Master God eyes. How you make a Master God? How you put in a Master God? So that was how you make a Master God.
Wow.
Yes, yes.
Nice. You know what I'm saying? You mash up the place. I don't know if you ever go to these poetry slams. They don't clap. They do the snap. So
right.
Let me just snap. Let me give you a snap.
Thank you.
You hear that?
Yes, I heard it. I don't want to tell you something. I did that poem say in front of about 30,000 people in Colombia, South Africa. And every time I do it, I'm telling you, people just go crazy, you know. Yes.
Nice. Are any of your poems in patois?
Yes. Well, you notice that poem had a little of it in there. But if you want a patois piece, one of the things is that when we write with Jamaican, it has standard English and or Jamaican patois mix. So we call it Jamaican language. We say like, my Jamaican tongue too sweet for me to throw it away. When you hear me talk, I don't play me, I play. Like my professor friend who got circumcised, that's him Jamaican tongue to get recognized. My tongue is African, Caribbean, jump talk, flute, pan, percussion, banjo, mentos, rock, steady, rasta, reggae, politics, sugar cane, sweat, slavery, blood and pain. Blend that with English, Chinese, Syrian, Indian. My tongue is out of many ones. Me nah dash with my tongue. Me love it to my heart. Before some go back home, cause me and it not apart. It too sweet like calypso. Your tongue is ballroom dance, for me a go-go. I don't have to draw out my vowels like Robin shooting his bow. I make my point, my tongue just flows like note from Dan drum and trombone. I don't envy you for yours, so leave me with my own. You think it's everything I say, I want you to understand. My tongue is like this, guys. Part of my oral tradition. When our ancestors died and couldn't afford to leave legacy, them wrap up them tongue in a tide and pass it on to us. Stop your rank. Your tongue was derived, and so is mine. If yours is whiskey, mine is pure wine. Harp, rumba, fire, dance, a goat skin. Your tongue is Her Majesty's, mine a fiery thing. So you can cause your innuendos and aspersion. I don't give a damn, because when you hear me talk, you must always hear Jamaican. Yes.
Some more snaps. Why is the art important for school children?
Very awesome question. Nowadays, when you see how the contemporary world space is going with violence and drugs, and kids are not sure, what what is their place. I think the arts gives them an opportunity or a relief from some of those stresses to express themselves, to find beauty. It could be in listening to music. You know, you're gonna find you find your peace there. I guess that's why a lot of them used to walk around with the earphones and stuff like that, listening. It's part of the arts. It's influencing them. You know, I know that painting and stuff like that, it gives you the opportunity to bring out sometime that anger. You can actually bring it out on a piece of canvas or in writing. So the art definitely is important. And I will know that in music too, there always, you know, statistics shows that children who say do music, learn music, or play music tends to do very well academically.
Yes,
so there's
yes,
definitely a role for the arts in the contemporary world space with children.
Yeah, and it's interesting you mentioned the academics because a lot of people who apply for med school, they do have a musical background. We want the doctors to know what they we want the doctors to know their stuff. What advice do you have for parents to nurture writing and the arts in the digital world?
Well, say parents, the older parents are somewhat afraid, are somewhat challenged when it comes to handling digital media and stuff like that. But they should, find a way to encourage and learn from their children, make it a shared experience, because, you don't want to be living in two different worlds. Of course, their norms is going to be a little different from you, but when it comes to discipline, then what is right and wrong, and stuff like that, it still holds true for either generation. So parents has to somewhat tap into, what their children are doing, where they are. You cannot just isolate yourself and say, what they're doing is bad, I'm not going to do this, and, the Father is against that, God is against that, and what have you. You have to find a way of understanding, and then you have to make allowances, for each other, for them, so you can nurture them so that they can grow up to be a good role model. You set the example, and they tend to follow. They're gonna take shades of you, even when they become into their own person, their own unique person. But you have to set the example. I'd want to think so.
So how can folks find your lovely, lovely, fine, awesome work?
Well, my CDs are available on all the Spotify, iTunes. In addition to that, if you want to hold the tangible CDs in your hand, I have 7 albums on CD Baby. So you'd have to go store, that store.cdbaby.com/CD and Malachi Music. And Malachi is spelled as the way it's spelled in the Bible, MALACHI Music. You can go again, store.cdbaby.com/artist/Malachi2. Right, so that's store.cdbaby.com/CD/Malachi Music, or store.cdbaby.com/artist/Malachi2. And my new book, I just have a new collection of poems that came out from AP Publishing out of the UK. It is titled The Gathering, and it is available on Amazon, The Gathering. And it's going very well. So you'd find my works primarily there. So you can always Google me, Malachi Smith, Jamaican poet, or dub poetry, and it's going to populate.
And what final words of wisdom do you have for our audience?
Well, I would want to tell everyone that I always believe that every man should be heard. That we all have our unique purposes on earth. Some of us, it's more challenging and difficult to find it. But we need to find a way or a space within ourselves to accommodate and encourage other persons to speak, to speak their truth and to listen. And we can all make the world a better place, by planting a tree, It can be a tree with a word. It can be a physical tree, but you want to make sure that you lend your hand and help every man to be heard, especially in this time, because as I said, check the bottom line. We are all one blood, one population.
Yes.
And we are. And I remember in my anthropology class, my first honors anthropology class, I remember the professor said that the test of the human species is our ability to inbreed. And he said, you could take a male from the Kalahari Desert and take him to any city in the world and say you would mate with, have a relationship with a Caucasian, and they produce a viable offspring. The offspring can actually reproduce itself. So you know that we are one. If you do that with say a horse and a donkey, they are not the same thing. So they produce a mule that cannot reproduce itself. Stuff like little thing like that. So really and truly, we are one. We're one blood. We're one population, and we need to open doors for each other instead of closing doors in each other's face and stuff like that. And we can all play our own little role in making this world so much more a better place.
That's a wonderful, positive note to end with. So, to learn more about Jamaican Diaspora, visit JamaicanDiaspora.com. To learn more about Chris Daly, visit digital2, that's the number 2, digital2grow.com. To contact Malachi Smith, it's MALISMITH or MLCHSMTH@Yahoo. Malachi, we enjoyed this little time together. Bye now.
I give thanks. Give thanks, Chris and Janice. One love.